Yay! Skulls. Polly here. Skulls for a reason, because aliens. Okay, I'm a huge fan of Alien and Alien 2. Fortunately, they didn't make movies after that. So, way back in the day, some guys tried doing an Alien role-playing game, and they went way overboard on detail. They were gun combat maniacs, so they wanted to do, very precise gun rules. Didn't really work. So Alien's sort of been a setting that you kind of wanted to adapt other sets of rules to kind of use. However, bless them, Fria Ligan, Free League, which is a Swedish company. Love them to death. They have brought out the Alien role-playing game, and it's very good, like 5-star. Don't watch this, go out, quick, go get Alien immediately. So, Fria Ligan, they have used to create this game some very tried and true basics from their previous rule sets, and they've had an absolute success with this. So, this is the Alien role-playing game that they've done. Hardcover, beautiful piece of work. Artwork all through this, of course, is they've taken their lead from the kind of dark, sinister, kind of 80s tech geist that was in Alien, and they've done a really good job. It's beautiful. It's not overlaid out. A lot of modern games, they get too carried away. Now, your basic set, you'll get that. You'll get an Alien, a really neato Alien judge's screen, which it's mostly things like critical injuries and some panic rolls and so on. It's not a game that has a huge amount of bookkeeping required. But other neat stuff that you get with it, some little Alien dice, if you can get hold of those. Don't need them, but they're cute. They also do cards which have some pre-done characters on them, which is a really nice thing for, it goes with one of the scenarios that they put in there. You get Starting Adventures, Chariot of the Gods, which is fantastic. You get maps, so you get some very cool maps of bases. So that's like the Hadley's Hope layout, and you also get star maps of known space. So this is all detail that's kind of missing from Alien movies and so on. What's the context? Where are they? So it's been clearly a heroic job that these guys have had to do, because there wasn't a lot of that detail provided. Now, they've gone on. We also have a scenario pack, Alien Destroyer of Worlds, which is a little, more than an adventure, shorter than a campaign, a series of linked adventures. And we've also got, just released, the Colonial Marines Handbook, which is, again, you can see that's a monster. It's a big hardcover book, and it's full of stuff. So, anyway, the Alien role-playing game, what are we looking at? So, Fria Ligan have created a system that's quite easy to create characters for. It's very easy to play. And what's interesting about this one is it comes in 2 levels. There's a cinematic play, which is essentially done for sort of one-offs. So this is something you would run at a convention, for instance. The characters aren't quite as deep. You don't have to have quite so many long-running, sustainable things for the characters, because you are doing something that's effectively like a movie. You've just got them for one adventure, and it's understood that most of these characters aren't going to make it. One of them is going to escape the ship. A couple of them are going to get off world before things go west. So it's a really great idea, actually, having like a stripped down version of the system for convention play. And that's where these cards that they did characters actually come in really well. They've got these things, you can literally just dish these out. There's a slightly more complex version for campaign play. However, they're both really simple to run. So, it's a dice pool system. You are going to have characteristics which have a set number of dice. You can have skills which have a set number of dice. What you're doing is you're rolling that group of dice together, and you're looking for 6s. The 6s are a hit. And if you get more than 1 6, you can do a stunt. You've done really well with the skill. So you'll do more damage, you'll do extra hits. You can walk that fire across a bunch of aliens. You can, do whatever. What I like about this is that there is a panic mechanism, and it's very clever and it's very simple. So you've rolled your dice. What you can do is you can push the roll. So you need those sixes to hit. Any dice that hasn't rolled a 6, you can say, I'm pushing the roll, you pick up the ones that didn't roll a 6 and you roll them again. Kaboom. However, that adds to your character's panic. Now, you note down the panic number. For every panic number you've got, you roll an extra dice, which actually means it's easier to actually achieve things because you've got more dice, so you can get more 6s. The panic, it's really, you've honed your mind, it's really focused you. But if you get a 1, which on the alien dice is a little face hugger, you have a panic effect, and you roll on this panic chart. You add the number of panic points you've got, so the panic will actually increase. At lower levels, it's nothing. You might hesitate, things might happen, you're misloading weapons, you're doing things. At higher levels, you might freeze totally. You might completely panic. You might scream and start firing at everything in the room. You might go completely catatonic, so, as the alien goes over you just sit there going, ah. All this is in there. And you can spread that panic. There can be terrible things. You could be like babbling nonsense over the intercoms, which is driving everyone else mad. So it's a nice mechanic that kind of makes you want to push the dice rolls for those successes, but it increases the agitation, increases the pressure. It's not a permanent thing. You can actually get rid of panic, but you have to rest, you have to stop, you have to have a break. Now, as you're designing characters, you choose, first off, you've got to choose what kind of campaign you're going to run. They essentially say you can play a space truckers campaign. Alien 1, where all the crew of the Sulaco were chuffing along and delivering cargo when things happen. You can play a sort of Marines or combative campaign where we're all Marines or corporate mercenaries or maybe even law enforcement groups or a troubleshooting group that are specifically armed and equipped. We're bad hombres, we've got guns and bombs and knives and attack helicopters and the whole thing. You can also do a colonists adventure where you are there to explore a new world, or you are just guys trying to make ends meet down on some strange colony, or you're out there, you're wildcatters, and someone gives you that that hint that there might be something really cool to look at out in that grid. So different skill sets that you'll be making for characters depending essentially on the theme of the campaign that you've picked. And different character types within all of these different groups, and what you can do is you pick different traits for the characters, your personality traits and so on that you get. You also have some nice little things. You pick up meaningful items to the character, and that can calm you down if you've got the photo of your kids, or you've got your favourite record album that you're playing, or whatever. That can be used as a way of calming you down. And you can also pick interesting traits. So that's it, man. Game over, man. Game over. People who have chosen to essentially be the company joker, that's actually a thing that that character is doing. By making his jokes and quips, that sort of character can attempt to reduce other people's panic, or he can essentially remove their panic but draw their ire onto him. But it's kind of a useful group thing. You've got commander characters that can essentially try and tell people, stay frosty. And you've got all these nice little things that work within quite simple game strictures to work within the mechanics and make the whole system function. Now, you can be artificial people. You might be an artificial person and not know it. They've got a nice structure for the cinematic games where it moves in acts. And what the umpire can do is he can give you all different aims and goals depending on the act. And he might now flip some cards over and might just tell you, okay, artificial person, your new programming is clicked in. This is what you must do. Or someone might be a sleeper agent, and so you'll kind of find yourself like, oh, now I'm playing a different game. I'm as the company sleepers agent. Now I've got to I've just got to bring this creature back for examination. Screw the rest of the party. Or I'm actually working for a cartel, or all these kind of nice things can click in. That's not quite as appropriate for the campaign games, obviously, where you've chosen what to do. So this is a really good basic game. It's got all the equipment in that basic set. It's got everything that you'd have recognised from Aliens and Alien 2 and so on. Now, what they've done is bring out the Colonial Marines Handbook. That gives masses of extra detail for the military stuff. So it's got powered armors and all sorts of things. Now this takes it way beyond the period where you would be sort of playing if you were doing Alien and Aliens 2. This goes like 100 odd years into the future, so there's a ton of extra marine equipment. They start inventing all these kind of heavier guns and all these sorts of things, and this makes it really dark. Now, one of the things that they've had to do, like many science fiction franchises based on movies that people ran with, yeah, the background to Aliens can be a bit of a mess. Plus, they added extra material on in later movies, some of which just, you know, you may like it, you may dislike it. Now, what they've had to do is say, this is the game we're doing based on the franchise, so we're covering all of it. But you are pretty clearly invited to run as much or as little of what is kind of now the Aliens canon background as you wish. If you want to do the big nung monsters that, you know, have the eggs and have the face huggers, you can just do that. However, they've got to deal with the material that was brought to us through things like Prometheus and Covenant. We're going to have to drink. We've mentioned Prometheus. There's not enough alcohol in the world to make me forget Prometheus. So that means black goo and strange little kind of alien-esque creatures that grow out of weird funky spores and bam, 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 bam. So the basic scenario, for those of you who aren't aware of it, is that of course the aliens are actually a retrovirus. The facehugger doesn't inject an egg or anything, it injects a virus into you, which makes your body create a chest burster, etc. So what the alien in the first movie is actually doing is, if there aren't eggs and chest bursters, they grab people and this thing will inject you with a virus, and it'll kind of turn you into a giant ovomorph, a giant egg. And that will birth more aliens, and if you keep birthing enough, then eventually a queen will appear and so on. Now, these guys have done really sterling work actually in laying out how the aliens work. What the hive organization is. There are some aliens that we haven't seen. Now, of course, in the movies, initial Alien, they did their costume work. In Aliens 2, God bless them, it's one of my favourite movies of all time, but some of the alien costumes are different because they're having to make a couple of dozen of them, not just one. So minor details slip past them, like the number of fingers on the hands of the alien and these sorts of things. So these have actually been kind of worked in as, no, that's a different cast of alien. They've done a very good job running with that. So they've got the hive organisation, how these work. They've also got tons of other creatures that are alluded to in the aliens canon and so on. So you might be on a bug hunt because these guys are obviously used to it. There are horrible alien things that, you know, really beset different colonies. You might just be fighting corporate wars. There are also these wars where there's essentially the guys that we were used to from Aliens 2, effectively they're American. So there are kind of communist and Chinese-y kind of sections of space and so on. They're all struggling with each other. So you've got out and out military stuff. And that's why they're interested in the alien xenomorphs as a bioweapon. So there is a political background to this. The black goo thing, yeah, that's actually like an ancient virus again, and it can turn things into essentially these sort of proto-alien kind of creatures, and that's a whole other problem. And what the Colonial Marines Handbook did was it actually sketched out an ongoing future that's really dark, where these bioweapons are now kind of being used, and this whole population's being wiped out and no one knows where it's coming from, and you know, these aliens are starting to actually make inroads because people are actually have managed to steal these things, and people are actually trying to weaponize them. So they're putting essentially cybernetic controls in them so they can pilot these things and try and control them and use them as weapons. And so it may be way too dark. It's interesting and a great thing to spring on people, but you know, that may be darker than you wanted to go. But it's all in there, you can pick and choose. So, look, in conclusion, these guys are obviously going to do a lot more. Colonial Marines has come out, they are clearly going to do their Space Truckers Handbook, they're going to do their Colonists Handbook, and every single thing they've done has been done with incredible attention to detail, clarity. These are well-tested rules and these things work really, really well. What I like about this is that it's very clear-cut and simple to create characters, and the system is simple. That panic mechanism, that is excellent, particularly because it's making you buy into it. You want to re-roll those dice. You want that spectacular success, but every time you do that, the panic sets in. Oh, you want some of this, you want some of this too, you want some of this too. As you do that, yeah, I want to keep firing the gun, I want to do more, I want to do more, I want to do more. All right, you might, all right, well, keep re-rolling. Keep doing it. Your panic builds until it runs out of control, and now it's controlling the action. That's a very clever system, but also having character traits and so on that you can use to try and control this and bring it down is also nice. Resource management coming into the game. Very well done. So, look, if you wanted to play the alien bug hunts, the space truckers, the horrible bitey things trying to bite people's heads off, etc., this is a really, really well done system. It's a great game to buy, and also a really, really good game for short convention scenario play as well, using that stripped down system. Very cleverly done. I am really looking forward to seeing what else these guys come up with. They've done it well, and they're going to keep doing it well. So this is one to watch. Out right now on the Fria Ligan website. I'll put links down below this video. Go and check it out. It really is a spectacularly well done game. Cheers!